Everyone talks about bunkers like they're the holy grail of survival. Thick concrete, steel doors, filters humming in the dark. But here's the uncomfortable truth most Cold War marketing never admitted. Those bunkers were overpriced coffins, loud, damp, air-starved. And in many cases, they failed the people who trusted them. Meanwhile, a quieter, dirt-under-the-fingernails solution was outperforming them in silence. No contractors, no government stamp, just physics, soil, and common sense. This is the Earth Cradle Shelter, and it may be the smartest survival idea to come out of the Cold War. This isn't nostalgia. This is engineering that still works. After World War II, survival stopped being a military concept and, well, became a dinner-table conversation. Nuclear weapons changed the math overnight. Cities were targets. Farms were collateral. Governments rushed out pamphlets and model shelters, pushing reinforced concrete boxes as the gold standard. But those designs assumed money, electricity, and time. Most families had none of those. Concrete bunkers required deep excavation, precise pours, steel reinforcement, powered ventilation, and constant maintenance. Miss one detail and, honestly, you didn't get safety. You got mold, flooding, or carbon dioxide buildup. These structures fought nature at every step. Water wanted in. Air wanted out. Heat had nowhere to go. The more airtight they became, the more dangerous they were to occupy long-term. People figured this out the hard way, and once they did, a quieter revolution began. The Earth Cradle Shelter solved the problem by not fighting the planet. The Earth Cradle Shelter didn't come from a defense contractor. It came from ordinary people who understood one basic truth. Earth is protection, always has been. Instead of isolating humans from the environment, this design wrapped humans inside it. Soil became the shield. Dirt wasn't a weakness. It was the asset. Compacted earth absorbs shock better than rigid concrete. It disperses energy instead of cracking under it. That matters during blast overpressure. It also matters during earthquakes, storms, and ground movement. Concrete fails catastrophically. Earth fails slowly. Radiation protection is where the Earth Cradle quietly embarrassed official shelters. By the early 1960s, testing showed that roughly 36 inches of compacted soil could block up to 98% of gamma radiation. That wasn't theory. That was measured reality. Many government-recommended fallout shelters didn't reach that level unless they used extreme thickness and reinforcement. And here's the kicker. Soil doesn't corrode. It doesn't rust. It doesn't care if the power grid is gone. Why soil beats steel when everything goes wrong? Steel reflects heat. Earth absorbs it. Steel transmits shock. Earth cushions it. Steel needs ventilation systems to remain habitable. Earth regulates temperature automatically. Below ground, the temperature stabilizes around 55 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. Summer heat waves become, well, pretty much irrelevant. Winter cold just fades into background noise. That thermal mass creates habitability without any energy input. No generators, no fuel, no moving parts. Concrete bunkers tried to seal people off from the environment entirely. Earth cradles, on the other hand, accepted that humans need air, moisture balance, and temperature stability. They worked with those forces instead of suppressing them. That's why so many Cold War bunkers flooded, cracked, or became uninhabitable within just a few decades. And it's why small handmade earth shelters are still standing under fields and forests today. Ventilation without electricity wasn't optional, it was genius. The biggest killer inside sealed shelters wasn't radiation, it was suffocation. Carbon dioxide buildup happens faster than most people realize. Traditional bunkers relied on powered fans. Lose electricity, and, well, the shelter becomes a timer. Scene 2. The Earth Cradle Ventilation Solution. Earth Cradle designs solve this with passive airflow. One low vent. One high vent. Warm air rises. Cool air enters. That's it. No switches, no motors, no noise. This principle is ancient. Fire pits, wind towers, root cellars. The Cold War didn't invent it. It remembered it. For times when passive airflow wasn't enough, Cold War engineers developed manually operated air pumps made from plywood, hinges and rubber seals. These pumps could move hundreds of cubic feet of air per minute using human power alone. No batteries, no grid, just leverage and motion. That idea still works today. You know, preppers, off-grid builders and storm shelter designers still use these systems because, well, failure modes are minimal. When something breaks, you can see it. And, importantly, you can fix it. The design stayed survivable because it stayed simple. Earth Cradle shelters weren't deep underground fortresses. They were shallow, smart and disguised, built into slopes, covered with soil, shaped like hills instead of targets. The structure usually relied on timber sandbags or stacked earth-filled containers. Roofs were spanned with beams or corrugated metal, then buried under multiple feet of compacted soil. That soil wasn't decoration. It was armor, insulation, and camouflage all at once. From above, it looked like land. From inside, it felt stable, quiet, controlled. Entrances were angled to deflect blast pressure, rain, and wind. Drainage was prioritized over aesthetics. Nothing flashy, nothing wasted. This wasn't paranoia architecture. It was practical shelter building. How to apply Earth Cradle principles right now? You don't need to fear nuclear war to benefit from this knowledge. The same principles apply to storm shelters, wildfire refugees, root cellars, off-grid storage, and emergency hideouts. A shallow, earth-sheltered structure dug 4 to 5 feet into a slope can serve multiple roles. Line the walls with timber or sandbags. Span the roof securely. Cover it with at least 2 feet of compacted soil. That soil becomes insulation and concealment. Install 2 vents, one low, one high. Angle the entrance downward slightly. Add drainage. Keep it boring. Boring keeps you alive. This kind of structure doesn't announce itself. It doesn't rely on fuel deliveries or maintenance contracts. It doesn't care if the grid collapses or storms intensify. Even small-scale applications matter, you know. Earth-covered food storage stays stable during heat waves. Earth-sheltered workspaces reduce energy demands. And Earth-buffered storm shelters, well, they really do outperform above-ground safe rooms when winds turn violent. The Cold War lesson most people missed, honestly. Cold War survival wasn't about gadgets. It was about understanding forces. Air moves, heat rises, Earth absorbs energy. Design that respects those truths, well, it survives longer than any technology stack. The most expensive government bunkers of the 1950s now sit cracked, flooded, or abandoned. Meanwhile, handmade earth shelters still exist beneath farmland, forests, and hillsides. Many are still usable. Some have been quietly repurposed. Others sit untouched, waiting. They survived because they obeyed the oldest engineering rule there is. Work with nature, not against it. The Earth Cradle Shelter wasn't built from fear. It was built from logic. It turned panic into function. It accepted limitations and designed around them. That mindset matters now more than ever. Stop chasing bunker fantasies sold by marketing brochures and movie logic. Real resilience doesn't come from thicker doors. It comes from understanding the ground beneath your feet. The Cold War is history. The wisdom it produced is not. The Earth Cradle Shelter proves that simplicity, science, and a shovel can still outperform concrete and cables when everything else fails. If this kind of forgotten survival knowledge belongs in your mental toolkit, don't keep it buried. Subscribe to Old World Prep, share this with someone who still thinks bunkers are the answer, and keep digging into the lessons history left us. The best defences aren't built out of fear. They're built out of understanding.